Kristin, it's so nice to talk with you. Thank you so much for being a guest as part of the summit.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so happy to dive into this topic with you today. And so before we get into it, I'll just read your bio so that people can get a little sense of who you are if they don't know you yet. And then we'll dive right into unleashing your feminine magic. So Kristin Akerele is a feminine embodiment coach, energy healer, and divine channel who mentors high-achieving women to embody their feminine power and intuitive magic as leading yoga teachers, coaches, aspiring coaches, and healers. She also channels light code activations, speaks light language, and clears energetic blocks to access a deeper connection to your higher self and the divine. She offers individual energy healing and coaching sessions, as well as group certification programs in pranayama, yogic breath, and feminine embodiment coaching. So welcome, Kristin. We're going to talk about unleashing your feminine magic today, and I'm just so excited to dive into this topic with you.
Me too.
Yeah, so maybe we can start. I know that you have this 3-pillar strategy that you really help women use to kind of embody their feminine energy. So do you want to maybe like describe that a little bit more? We can get into the 3 pillars. I know you had told me it's mindset, energetics, and intuition. So maybe we can start off with the mindset.
Yeah, so in our kind of patriarchal society, a lot of us are really programmed and conditioned to tie our worth to our actions and to focus a lot on our productivity and really get into this hustle mode. I know that I kind of fell into that as a young kid, and you get recognized for achieving things. You get recognized for making good grades and the good behavior, etc. And so we kind of adopt this mindset that we have to be busy all the time and keep every moment scheduled. And when we don't do that, a lot of us feel kind of uncomfortable and almost guilty when we're resting or when we take time for ourselves. So the mindset shift is really about unwinding that conditioning and that belief system, and understanding that you're inherently worthy and that your worth isn't attached to being productive or your actions, and to decide that you really want to live a different way. You don't want to be busy all the time and burn yourself out and really miss the magic of the moments because you're so busy doing things, and that you're ready to shift to a different state of being. So that's basically what the mindset piece is about.
I love this so much. And this resonates so deeply with me. With my own writing journey, I've really been shifting from kind of a more masculine energy that I think so much of just like writing craft and writing practice, and what you see people talking about writing a book. It's so focused in this masculine energy of like word count goals and, like you're saying, productivity. And there's sometimes this culture about like that we have to almost like beat this book out of ourselves. And I'm not saying that it's easy to write a book, but I think it doesn't have to be so hard. This like the way that the culture talks often about creativity. And so this just resonates so much, which I just think it's so important to help you really get into a place of like nurturing your creativity, and to help you where you're not just focused on writing this one book, but like kind of embodying being a creative person, being a creative woman, and writing, as just part of your life. So I love this. I think it's so, so important. And I think it really needs to be talked about more, especially as women. Maybe we can get into, I'm really curious about energetics and like the nervous system. I haven't really heard anything about this. So I really would love, I know you could talk about this. I'm sure we could have like hour-long, series, but maybe you could give us just a little taste of kind of what that means, and how women can start shifting their energetics around their feminine energy.
Sure, I love talking about this, and I could talk for hours about it, but essentially it ties in with the mindset piece in the sense that we are on this go, 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 do kind of wheel or pattern. And as a result, our nervous system gets stuck in the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. And so we're constantly busy. Our nervous systems are heightened because we're stressed out and we're kind of in this pressure. We put all this pressure on ourselves. And so we're in that fight or flight response. And then our system is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline and all of these hormones. And if you stay there indefinitely, eventually you're going to have some kind of breakdown, whether it's severe anxiety, panic attacks, or physical autoimmune disorders, high blood pressure, adrenal fatigue. All these things result from staying in that state. So the nervous system is a huge piece in this puzzle of unwinding that pattern so that we can be relaxed and receive, because the feminine is about receiving, about softening, about ease, creativity, etc. But we can't access any of that if we're in the fight or flight response all the time.
That makes so much sense. And do you have, I mean, it seems like, I'm sure it's a journey to really kind of unlearn some of those energetic patterns. Do you have any things that you work with your clients on? It's almost like if someone says, okay, this is really resonating with me, I feel like I am always in fight or flight. Is there a first step, that I could take to kind of start shifting my energetics?
Yeah, there's many techniques that can be very effective. One of my favorites is breath work because it's accessible to everyone. We already, it's free, it's available. You can do it even in a crowded room. You don't have to isolate yourself to do the breath work. So it's a very effective and easy tool to learn. And it can start just with deepening your breath, slowing it down, just becoming aware of your breath. And it's tied directly to the nervous system. So as soon as you take control over your breath, you're able to access that relaxation response in your nervous system. Other ways are any kind of movement, exercise, getting outside in nature, anything that makes you feel good, massage, bath, petting your dog, singing and humming and chanting are very effective. So there's a lot of really simple ways that we all have access to that are free.
I love this. And Kristin, I talk a lot about like helping women create a nurturing writing routine. And so many of these ideas that you're mentioning are things that I just feel like we inherently want to bring into our routine to make it feel better, to make it feel more nurturing, to make it feel sustainable and like something that we actually look forward to doing. I love this. I guess it is a mindset shift, but also an energetic shift. This idea of thinking about your creative time as like a self-care time. And so some ideas popped into my head as you were talking of like, what if you wrote in the bath? What if you, instead of being at your desk, what if you took a journal and went outside? What if you even just did some simple breath work before you dive into your writing time? I think these could make such a big difference in how it feels and how that creativity kind of just feels like it's flowing out of you. So I love these ideas. So good.
Yeah. And it's about, just to add on to what you say, it's changing your approach from pressure to pleasure. So are you, like in your example of writing a book, are you in that pressure mode of I have to do this? Or can you be in a pleasure mode of I get to be really creative and express myself?
Yes. And that's something I've written 6 books now. And the
Wow.
more that I write, the more I just feel like that's really where the magic is. Like with my first book, I was so focused on getting to the end, reaching that goal at the end. And I think if we're so focused on that, we lose, like you're saying, the pleasure, we lose the magic of really the creative process, which is where we are in our power and where we really have, I think that's really the gift of it. And so it makes me so sad when people are so steeped in this masculine energy or only focused on the end result. And it's like a battle to get their book birthed out of them. And I just feel like it doesn't have to be that way. And I think so often that's why people quit partway through, or why we do reach that end goal. And then for some reason, we don't feel as fulfilled as we expected, or we feel like something's missing. So I think so much of what you're talking about is like the missing puzzle piece to really make that process just feel so much more just transformative. So I love that. And then the last one, the last strategy of your 3-pillar strategy is thinking about intuition, which I would love to hear more about that as well.
So they kind of build on each other. You need to have the right mindset and a calm nervous system to be able to access your intuition. So that's why I teach it in that way. If you're stressed out, you're just not gonna not have any access to it. So you need to be in that relaxed state. And it's all about, intuition is really about accessing information you wouldn't otherwise have. It's about asking your higher self for information and help and guidance to get you closer to your goals and to guide you on the path of least resistance. When we're always in our mind looking for the answers, we're very limited because our mind really wants to keep things the same. It doesn't like change. It doesn't like anything uncertain or uncomfortable. And so you're very limited if you're just in your mind all the time. But your intuition has this whole world of information that can really support you. And it's really about getting in the right energetic space and learning how to access it and hear it, and then take little steps to start trusting it more and following it.
I love that so much. And I love how you describe it as, I'm almost imagining in my mind, like building blocks, kind of, where maybe that foundation is the mindset, and then you have the energetics. And then, like you're saying, intuition. Once you have that foundation set, you're able to access that more. And it makes me think of what came up for me too, is this idea of the muse that you hear a lot with creativity or with writing. And to me, I think that does really relate to our intuition. I think we all have that inside of us. And sometimes when we're so focused on being productive, being efficient, checking off our goals, it's like, no wonder we are experiencing writer's block, or we have all this pressure. It's like we're kind of cutting ourselves off from that muse, probably without even meaning to.
So you can start just by asking, kind of neutral questions, like in your example of writing a book, like instead of being so structured on, I'm going to write about this topic, maybe just ask, what's in my heart to write about today? Or what do my readers need to hear? Or what's the story that's coming through me?
I love those questions. And that also, I feel like it really puts you in a place of like gratitude and kind of like being of service. And I think it helps you release some of that ego that can then lead to things like imposter syndrome, or, feeling like you don't have anything important to say, or all these things that I hear from women in my coaching programs. That I love those questions about, what do I want to be a channel for today? Like, what wants to come through me onto the page? I think that's so much, it's such a gentler question. And also, I just think a much more freeing question to ask.
Yeah.
I love that.
And you can use it for anything. You can start by just asking it, questions about, take an intuitive nature walk and just kind of ask, where should I go? Instead of like following the trail, maybe there's another place that your intuition can guide you, and you'll find the most beautiful tree, or, just little things, little ways to start really trusting it and listening to it.
I love this so much. And it also makes me think of something that so magical that can happen in the creative process is when you're deep in a book project and it almost feels like the universe is kind of conspiring to help you write your book. You just see everywhere you go, you hear conversations, you get ideas. It just feels like you're really immersed in it. And I think that all of these strategies that you're describing really help you get to that place. So I think this is so important. And I know there are people listening who really want to dive in more. We've really just kind of hit the very tip of the iceberg for today. But I just think this is so, so important. And like I said, not talked about enough related to writing a book in the creative process. So you have a very generous free gift that you are offering for all summit attendees. So I'd love to hear more about that. And it definitely ties into what we were just talking about related to energetics.
Yeah, so I'm gifting everyone a free breath awareness meditation. It is about 10 to 12 minutes. And it's really the first step in learning how to use your breath as a tool to calm your nervous system and really get back in touch with your body. And it's part of a 21-day immersion program. So it's like the first piece of that. And the best way to experience it is in a restorative yoga pose, which I'll have a little on the sales page. There will be a description of how to set up physically so that you're in a really open, receptive place to receive.
I love that. That sounds amazing. And what a wonderful gift to give yourself. And I would love people listening, if you do have a writing practice, if you are working on a book, maybe just experiment and try doing that meditation before your writing time and see what shifts, see what happens with that. I love that. And Kristin, before I let you go, the last thing I want to make sure I ask is how people can get more of you besides just the free gift. If people want to work with you, they want to find you, they want to follow you, what are the best ways for people to get in touch with you?
I'm on Facebook and Instagram, and they can email me. And I'm also on Insight Timer, which is a meditation app. And I have meditations on there and also teach live on that app as well.
Wonderful. I love Insight Timer. That's fantastic. Yeah. I'll include all the links below too. So just thank you so much for your time. I just resonate so deeply with the work that you do. I think it's so important. And just thank you so much for sharing some of your goodness with our audience today.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.